Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and welcome to From the Rabbi's Bookshelves. Our author today is one of the most interesting and controversial Jewish theologians of the 20th century, Malachi Kaplan, and we're looking at his book, The Meaning of God in Modern Jewish Religion. Mordecai Kaplan began his life as a traditional Jew on the Lower East Side of New York, the son of immigrants. He went to traditional yeshivot and also learned and studied with great rabbis in Europe as well. He then went to the Jewish Theological Seminary, which was then a modern Orthodox institution, but quite modernized, and also encouraged general education as well. And he became the first rabbi of the Jewish Center, a modern Orthodox synagogue in New York, which was innovative because it wanted to be both a place of worship and a community center, the way many shuls are today. But in its day, it was a groundbreaking institution inspired by his ideas of Jewish community. However, his theology became more and more controversial, and eventually he presented the idea that we should abandon the idea of a personal God in a traditional sense. That Judaism was still very important because it is the means by which Jews find meaning in their life and even a source of spirituality which has to be understood in a different way. But nevertheless, Judaism must be reconstructed to take away the idea of a personal God, a God which is objectively real, and a God who commands. He became the father of what became known as Reconstructionism. Remarkably, he still remained in post as head of the teacher training college at the Jewish Theological Seminary. So even though he was a radical theologian in a conservative institution, and despite the controversies that caused, he remained in post really to the end of his career. He lived an enormously long time. He died at the age of 102 in 1983. Let me give you an idea of the radicalism of his point of view by just reading some of the chapter headings of this book. God as the power that makes for salvation. God as the power that makes for social regeneration. God as the power that makes for the regeneration of human nature. God as the power that makes for cooperation. God as the power that makes for freedom. God as the power that makes for righteousness, not ourselves. In other words, God is the name that we use, in Kaplan's view, for all of these impulses to do what is best, and what is good, and what is improving for ourselves and particularly for other people. Now, Judaism as a system of what he called folkways, of Jewish practices, is the way that the Jewish people achieve that. And God is simply the name we give to the force driving us in that direction. Kaplan believed there was no personal God. He was not commanded to do anything. But by engaging in these practices, we are fulfilling, quote-unquote, God's wishes because we're fulfilling the desire, the impulse to make the world, to make ourselves better and better. This is a difficult theology, a niche theology. The Reconstructionist movement is now still very small, but as a contribution to Jewish thought, he's extremely important. Thanks for joining.